Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing when your ex misses you. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Check out my socials for extra content. The links are in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing when your ex misses you. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you will want to know when your ex might miss you. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 situations where your ex will miss you. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is when you're missing from their life. Now if we consider situations where your ex-dumper may miss you the dumpee, we have to understand the perspective that you were both in within this scenario, and that is that you are the dumpee, they are the dumper, they ended the relationship, it was their choice. They made that decision to end your relationship. Now, of course, if you're listening to today's podcast, you don't agree with this, you don't want this, you want to get back together. And therefore you have to understand their position as someone who ended a relationship is not designed to miss you. So if we consider you missing them, yes, this is because unfortunately you were dumped. This is more natural. But they instead have made the choice. The dumper has made the decision to end the relationship. And of course, in that moment, they're not planning on missing you. They're not thinking they're going to miss you. They don't expect to miss you, because if they did, they wouldn't have ended the relationship. They're not going to deliberately walk into this. So we have to understand that from right now, this moment, your ex-dumper believes they have made a decision where they're not going to miss you, certainly not to a degree where they want to reconnect, else they would never have ended the relationship. So you as a dumpee need to make sure you do everything in your power to influence your ex-dumper to miss you. Because if you just carry on the way that they probably expect you to, this isn't going to help. It's not going to affect things because they imagined how this would play out, and you can't walk into that trap. Now, your ex-dumper doesn't want you to chase them. That would be annoying. That would be something which they would find very frustrating, since they've made that decision to end your relationship. But even though they don't want you to chase them, they probably expect you to, certainly subconsciously. And therefore, if you chase them, this will not only annoy them, but it will be something that they kind of expected and thought, yes, this is playing out exactly as I expected. However, if you don't chase them, this gives them the opportunity to actually think, whoa, that surprises me. Now, I didn't want them to chase me. However, I kind of expected that they would. And if you don't do that, that is going to cause that surprise. Additionally, if you are not chasing your ex-dumper, you are not in their life. You are missing from their life. And if you're missing from their life, there is the opportunity for your ex-dumper to miss you. Someone can't miss someone if they're always in their life. If you keep chasing your ex, you're always in their life. If you keep texting them, you're always there. Even if you're not doing it every day, if you text your ex once a week, even once a month, even once every 3 months, if your ex-dumper subconsciously expects you to do this, they are never going to feel your absence. Attraction grows in space. You need to be missed. Your ex-dumper can't miss you if you're always there. Even if you feel you're only contacting them every few months, your ex-dumper expects you to chase them. And maybe they have proof of concept because you've already been doing it. So you need to surprise them in the way that they are very much thinking, oh, no, I didn't think they would actually really genuinely never contact me again. And it's actually starting to feel like they might not contact me again. It's been months. I've heard nothing. This is surprising. If you are not in their life, they will think about you. If you're not in their life, they can potentially start to wonder about you. And if you're not in their life, this gives the opportunity for space to create a scenario where they can miss you. So if you aren't missing from their life, even if you think you're only popping in every few months, that is still not going to create the scenario necessary for them to miss you. Now, this isn't just about you chasing your ex. This isn't just about you continually texting or calling your dumper. There can be other reasons as well as for why they won't miss you. Maybe, for instance, they offer you platonic friendship. They see something within your connection that they want to keep going, and that is platonic. Now, you as a dumpee don't want platonic with your ex-dumper, but you think, you know what? This is better than nothing. And if we stay in contact, I can try and change things over time into my favour and get my ex back that way. Now, unfortunately, dumpees, it's very, very hard indeed to escape the friend zone. I do not suggest that anybody accepts platonic friendship with someone they have romantic feelings for. Because if you accept platonic friendship, you are a platonic friend. If you accept platonic friendship, you will be treated as a friend. And what that means is that if and when your ex-dumper starts dating someone new, they're going to tell you about it because you're a friend. What if this new relationship blossoms and they start to get really, really serious and say, hey, we're having a get-together, we're having a party, we're having an engagement. Do you want to come along? No, of course you don't want to, because you don't really want to be their friend. You want to be their romantic option. So you can't accept platonic friendship. I'm not suggesting that you're rude. If your ex-dumper asks you to be platonic friends, send your own words. Thanks for asking, but I will always see you as more than a friend. So I don't think that's going to work for me. So I don't think we can continue in a platonic sense. Now, this doesn't just play out from a fact that you would feel hurt if you are a friend, but as we've been speaking about in point number 1, you will not be missing from their life. If you accept platonic friendship, you are going to be an active friend, an active part of their life. Therefore, they can't miss you. Remember, attraction grows in space. You need to remove yourself from their life for them to have any opportunity for them to wonder about you, think about you, and hopefully get to the stage of missing you. So it's not just about you bothering them by texting them and annoying them and that not creating the space, but also sometimes your ex-dumper might offer friendship, you accept it, and instead of it helping you, not only might you have an awkward scenario in the future if your dumper dates someone new and you are introduced to them as the friend, not only that, but if you are an active part of your dumper's life, they will never be able to miss you. And if they can't miss you, you will never be able to get them back into a romantic relationship. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And point number 2 is when you outperform their expectations. Now, when your relationship ended, your ex-dumper believes they know everything about you. They believe they can predict your trajectory post-breakup. They believe they know where you're going, and unfortunately, that doesn't seem to match where they feel they are going in their life. Now, if you want to try to get your ex back, you need your ex-dumper to miss you. This is the theme of today's podcast. But one of the reasons they might miss you is not just about the space you create between yourselves, but on top of that, if you outperform their expectations. Now, they will have expectations of what they think you will do in the future. They might not have told you, they might not have spoke about it, but in their mind, they will have a belief of where you're going, what you're doing, and how it's going to be. Now, your job as a dumpee is to outperform their expectations, even if you don't exactly know what they are. And the best way to do this is to just imagine what you're doing right now, predict how you think this trajectory is currently going, and then make sure you one-up that position. In fact, don't just do a 1-up, 2-up, 3-up, 4-up. You need to become a version 2.0 of yourself. You need to be enhancing yourself in every single way, whether this is health and fitness, whether this is lifestyle, whether this is hobbies and interests, whether this is work and business. Every single element, you need to be improving yourself at an increased rate that your ex-dumper predicts. Now, here's the thing. You can't just be doing it for them. This has to be for you. It has to be authentic. It has to be real. You can't just be trying to get your ex back and changing your life around, and sadly, if you don't achieve that goal, you then let everything go. No, this has to be real. It has to be you. It has to be you turning a new page and becoming a version 2.0 of yourself, becoming a better person today than you were yesterday, and a better person tomorrow than you are currently today. If and when your ex-dumper finds out about your improvements, they will be wowed by what has happened. Now listen, you don't want to be reaching out to your ex and saying, hey, Look what I'm doing, okay? Of course, that would fly in the face of everything I've been speaking about today. You're not going to directly contact your ex and tell them. However, there are many ways that your ex-badumper may find out about this. Firstly, social media. Whether you are connected or not, if you post updates online, this is something which can get back to your ex either directly, because maybe you are still friends or following each other on social media, or even if you're not, there could be friends of friends, there could be people who pass this information on if and when they read it. Promote yourself in a way which is authentic, which is real. Don't lie, but make sure you are living your life in a way where what you're posting is not only real, but it's brilliant. On top of social media, as I've just mentioned, you may have friends of friends. Anything you say to a friend will drip feed back to your ex, even if they say it won't. That's why I always suggest you're very careful with what you say to mutual friends. But it doesn't just have to be scary, it can also play in your favour in this regard. If you're mentioning your improvements, which are real and genuine, this will get back to your ex. And anything your ex hears, which seems to outperform their expectations they have of you, is going to surprise them in a positive way and create a possible longing and ultimately a possible missing of you. Also, even if you don't have social media, even if you don't have mutual friends, if you implement my version of a no contact rule, if you live your life in a way where you're never contacting your ex again unless they contact you first, then you are going to be developing that space we spoke of earlier in today's podcast, which is going to draw your ex in to think, to wonder, and to hopefully miss you. If and when they reach out to you, due to this initial wonder, then they might have a conversation with you which transpires and showcases all of the improvements that you've made. Now, don't make it obvious. Don't just kind of list everything like your ex has reached out to you for the first time in 6 months and you say, "Hi, great to hear from you. Here's everything I've been doing." Okay, don't make it obvious that you're trying to list things off, but just drip feed things into conversation. Your ex will then be wowed. And if they've reached out to you, they are already feeling a higher level of romantic emotional attraction than they had at the time of a breakup. That's why they've reached out to you. So if they reach out to you, things are already going in your favour, but you can turbo boost them by wowing them by your self-improvement, by the things you are achieving, by your goals and aspirations, and ultimately outperforming their expectations. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the build-up of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about when your ex misses you. And point number 3 is routine disruption. Now this is an element of play that your ex-badumper didn't see coming, wasn't particularly thinking about at the time of a breakup, but ultimately it's themselves tripping themselves up. This is something which your ex-badumper has laid the foundations of something which could ultimately be their downfall regarding thinking about you, wondering about you, and missing you. And that is changes in the daily habits and routines, which of course are going to happen sadly post-breakup because you are no longer together. If you and your ex-badumper had habits and routines that you shared, which of course you would have done, you were in a relationship, there would have been things you did together, moments of time you spent together, elements and experiences you shared together. These things are no longer happening. These things are different. And changes in daily habits and routines, which included you, can create a sense of loss. Now you're no longer in them. Now you might think, well, my dumper ended the relationship. They didn't want me doing those things with them. Now that is a blanket thought process which isn't actually correct. Now, of course, sadly, your ex-badumper lost romantic emotional attraction for you. And I don't know for certain, without speaking to you via my audio coaching service, I don't know exactly why they lost attraction. However, what we can say is that just because they lost attraction for one sense, it doesn't mean they lost attraction in every sense. It's very rare indeed for a dumper to think badly of their ex-dumpee in every single way. It's very surprising and rare indeed for your ex-dumper to not have enjoyed anything about the relationship. Sadly, some things weren't working for them. Sadly, they did not believe that they would be fulfilled and satisfied moving forward beyond this point forevermore. But it doesn't mean that you didn't have great times. It didn't mean that they didn't really enjoy doing certain things. And these certain things are what going to trip the dumper up in regards to them missing you. Because the changes in those habits and routines that you are no longer in are going to haunt them as they come to the conclusion that they would much rather you be involved in their life than not being there at all. Your ex-dumper might no longer be able to do these things at all. Perhaps they tried to do them with someone else, but it's just not the same. You are a unique individual. You two had a bond, you had a relationship. This was something very special. Your ex-dumper did likely love you. They might even love you still to some degree now. So they can't just replace you with someone else doing the same things. It will be different. It won't be the same. It will be a different dynamic. And these changes, this routine disruption, is going to create a scenario where your ex-dumper, even though they didn't want to, even though they didn't expect to, this would cause your ex-dumper to miss you. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.